Hello, and welcome to a daily dose of the Bible. We're in Genesis right now, the very beginning of the book. Getting into a lot of what God's been doing in Abram's life. So far, the last thing that we heard was the birth of Ishmael in chapter 16, where Sarai had this idea that, we're not going to have sons soon enough. Abram, let's go ahead. You take my handmaiden and go ahead. I don't mind, or whatever. It was, it was her idea. But it says that when Ishmael was born, Abram was 86 years old. And there was some contention already between Hagar and Sarai, and so they're not getting along the best. Although an angel came and spoke to Hagar and said, to go back to your master and treat her kindly. So she's back for now, and the next chapter, 17, starts with Abram is named Abraham. So when Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him and said, I am El Shaddai, God Almighty. Serve me faithfully and live a blameless life. I will make a covenant with you, by which I will guarantee you countless descendants. At this Abram fell down on the face of the ground, and God said to him, This is my covenant with you. I will make you the father of a multitude of nations. What's more, I am changing your name. It will no longer be Abram. Instead, you will be called Abraham, for you will be the father of many nations. I will make you extremely fruitful. Your descendants will become many nations, and the kings will be among them. I will confirm my covenant with you and your descendants after you from generation to generation. This is the everlasting covenant. I will always be your God and the God of your descendants after you. I will give you the entire land of Canaan, where you now live as a foreigner. To you and your descendants, it will be their possession forever, and I will be their God. So, it's kind of like when we're born again, and, there's like, I just know this song that's like, there's a new name written down in glory, and I, think that's a verse from somewhere, and, just really interesting that God would, change his name right there in the middle of, he's 99 years old, but it's a way to say, you're a new man now. So, everything has changed about you, including your name. So, another thing that I wonder about is if Canaan is anywhere near where present-day Israel is. I always thought that was interesting. Like, he promises Abraham land. Is this land what they ended up with? It would be cool to know. I mean, of course, people know. I just have never really looked at it, so I'll have to check that out. The next part is called the Mark of the Covenant. Then God said to Abraham, Your responsibility is to obey the terms of the covenant. You and all your descendants have this continual responsibility. This is the covenant that you and your descendants must keep. Each male among you must be circumcised. You must cut off the flesh of your foreskin as a sign of a covenant between you and me. From generation to generation, every male must be circumcised on the 8th day after his birth. This applies not only to the members of your family, but also to your servants born into your household, and foreign-born servants whom you have purchased. All must be circumcised. Your bodies will bear the mark of my everlasting covenant. Any male who fails to be circumcised will be cut off from the covenant family for breaking the covenant. So that kind of speaks for itself. I'm not sure. I don't think, that's something that God expects nowadays for us to keep. A lot of people still, practice this, but I think at that time it was more like a sign of, proving your faith, I guess, or the faith of your fathers and your forefathers, and following in that tradition. So Sarai is named Sarah. Then God said to Abraham, "Regarding Sarai, your wife, her name will no longer be Sarai. From now on she will be Sarah, and I will bless her and give you a son from her. Yes, I will bless her richly, and she will become the mother of many nations. Kings of nations will be among her descendants." Then Abraham bowed down to the ground, but he laughed to himself in disbelief. "How could I become a father at the age of 100?" he thought. "And how can Sarah have a baby when she's 90 years old?" So Abraham said to God, "May Ishmael live under your special blessing." But God replied, "No, Sarah, your wife, will give birth to a son for you. You will name him Isaac, and I will confirm my covenant with him and his descendants as an everlasting covenant. As for Ishmael, I will bless him also, just as you have asked. I will make him extremely fruitful and multiply his descendants. He will become the father of 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will be confirmed with Isaac, who will be born to you and Sarah about this time next year." When God had finished speaking, he left Abraham. On that very day, Abraham took his son Ishmael and every male in the household, including those born there and those that he had bought. He then circumcised them, cutting off their foreskins just as God had told him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised, and Ishmael his son was 13. Both Abraham and his son Ishmael were circumcised on the same day, along with all the other men, boys of the household, whether they were born there or bought as servants. All were circumcised with him. So that's a mighty way of showing their faith to God, or at least to Abraham. They must have all been kind of like a little surprised by the new covenant that they were going to have to keep. But that's just showing that Abraham had the faith to do whatever God asked him to do. He just went and did it and trusted God's plan for what he had in mind for him. This is just my alarm is going off. Okay. This is just a story of faith that we can stand on and see. Here's Abraham. Until he was 99 years old, he was called Abram. Well, we all know him as Abraham, and God changed his life and his family and made a promise to him that he will make to you as well, to strengthen your family, to be there for you whenever you need him, and to guide you and direct you throughout your whole life. I just pray that you'll take these words into your heart and stand upon them with the firm foundation that Christ has laid for us, and all of the authors of the Bible, and God especially. This is the word that he gave us to read, to learn from. It's like a textbook. It's like a self-help book. It's everything you'd ever need all rolled into one. You just have to dive in there and see what he's got for you today.